Ghanatube so for open some ahudo etia now odi weni action we said the latest, the happenings, the shocks, the happy ones and all that was for Nina Ghanatube so and I was Ebeka 8 personal young wasted time bibiano it was for Dimechi Nanya a war on young Goti and Bra.
Is the looming U.S. travel ban on 36 countries including Ghana a subtle geopolitical maneuver or a genuine response to security concerns? In a sudden and sweeping move, the Trump administration has announced that 36 countries face a possible U.S. travel ban unless they meet new security and information sharing benchmarks within 60 days. This revelation, captured in a State Department memo and published by the Washington Post, has sent shockwaves through the international community and sparked a growing anxiety among the traveling public. Now, the U.S. government cites several reasons for that particular threat, but critics are already questioning whether it is truly about national security or simply political maneuvering. Well, here's what you need to know about this particular travel ban, and we'll put that graphics on your screen shortly so we understand exactly what the situation is. And there you have it on your screen. You see Trump's travel ban policy, which is countries under consideration. Like I said, 36, they are the countries under consideration. Now, these are the countries, many of them African countries, and especially in the West African sub-region. You find Angola, Benin, Burkina Faso is in there. And when you come to the next column, you find Egypt, Gabon, Gambia, and the one in red is Ghana. And Ivory Coast is also there. You find Liberia. You also find Niger, and Nigeria is in there, among other African countries. Now, let's look at the countries under consideration so far by continent. If you look at that, in Africa, there are about 25 countries that are under consideration for this travel ban policy by the Trump administration. Now, when you go to Asia, you see 4 countries. And in North America, there are about 4 of them. And the Oceania region, you see 3 of those countries. So the graph tells the huge number there, 25. Coming from the African continent. They are under consideration on the continent to face this travel ban by the United States. Let's go on and see whether some of the countries have already been banned. And out of the figure, you see there, 12 countries are under full entry ban as we speak. And the earlier, notice given by the U.S. administration state also that 7 other countries are partially facing a partial entry ban per that particular statement. And is this new? Countries already banned, you find them there. The list is there. 12 countries. Afghanistan is one of them. Chad is one of them. Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, all the way to Yemen. They have been banned. But let's look at the benchmark cited for a possible ban by the U.S. Administration. The first one there is reliability of government authority. And number 2, widespread government fraud, high visa overstay rates, citizenship for sale programs, security concerns, and cooperation on deportation. These are the key reasons why the countries are facing the possible travel ban. Let's move on and see the timelines given for full enforcement. The Trump administration is giving 60 days ultimatum to all these countries to comply with the new benchmarks. And I believe that you want to understand further how this is looking like for the case of Ghana. Look at the visa overstays here. Now, averagely, overstay rate of temporary visit for businesses and pleasure is the figure you are seeing there. Out of the 23,800 people that visit that country from Ghana annually, 7.64% they engage in visa overstays. Let's move on and see further how the figure is looking like. Out of the 2,400 students that visit the United States annually, 15.74% are those who actually overstay their visa. The number is looking huge indeed. Now, let's move on and see the trade volume between Ghana and the United States that can be affected. Annually, we are seeing about $2.48 billion, exactly that figure from the 2024 statistics, which reveals the trade between Ghana and the United States, which means that trade could be affected. Now, other regional countries that also have overstayed their visa from Ghana, you find Nigeria there, which is 11.61%. Then follows Cote d'Ivoire. They are also getting some 10.38% of visa overstays. Now, if you look at Togo, their figure appears to be a bit higher, which is about 15.93%. Then you go to Mali, which are all countries which are, being targeted for this travel ban. Mali is doing about 6.65%. Then Burkina Faso, which is doing about 17.43% of, visa overstays in the United States. Now, other regional countries average overstays rate of students and exchange visitors. Nigeria is still in the picture, 15.76%. Cote d'Ivoire is still there, 16.13%. And Togo is still there. You see 23.31%. And Mali also has 13.87%. Then Burkina Faso still is at the top, 31.25% students who actually overstayed their visa there in the United States. So the big question tonight is, does this announcement carry a subtle geopolitical undertone, especially given its timing and rising tensions between Israel and Iran? Why now, and what does it signal? How should developing nations, including our own country, Ghana, respond to this particular visa or travel threat? And what will be the real world impact on lives, education, healthcare, trade, and the broader economy? Let me take you straight to the United States and speak to Fred, who is a PhD student in that country. He's a Ghanaian in the United States. First of all, how are Ghanaian student and also a African student in that country, how are they taking this particular revelation by the Washington Post that these African countries could possibly face a travel ban? If you can unmute so we hear what you say, Fred.
Thank you for the opportunity. Good evening to your listeners. And what happens is that there has been several challenges these days that is associated with a student visa. Of course, people are aware of the recent halt of student visa appointment, all over the world, and also the revocation of student visas and all that. However, some of these things, if you are already in the country, it doesn't affect you, and some ban or restrictions are limited to certain countries. So let me give you a bit of history when it comes to using giving your social media details when you are completing the form DS-160. This started way back in 2019. Now, what is happening now is that there's going to be an extra scrutiny. It used to be that if you want to pay for visa application fee as a student, it was $160. It was increased to $185. If somewhere in 2019, if you're completing the form DS-160 for a student visa application, you were required to add the details of your late parent, and this time around, that has been taken out. Quite recently, last year, the U.S. Embassy in Ghana changed their, portal from what we call the U.S. Travel Docs to now what we call the AVIT portal. It used to be that if you want to pay for a student visa, you have to only pay for it at a nearby GT Bank in Ghana. Now you can use a MasterCard or Visa card to pay, and then you can also use, go to GT Bank to pay. What I'm trying to say is that changes and modifications has been going on for years, right? And so if you're working on the process now, it's not really a big deal. Now, what is going on, if you follow the news very well, might bring some shivering into you as a student, but it is always good to be on the positive side of life. This is a proposal. So what it means is that if you're a student this does not affect you in any way. However,
but the concern really is for the students from the continent who probably are looking for visas to come to the United States to study, and so and even students in the United States who could come back home and would want to further their studies. Are they not concerned about this?
So when it comes to ban and restrictions, when it is in place, then the government is definitely going to issue specific communique instructions or explanations as to how it's going to affect what category of visa. The US has two main categories of visas, which is the non-immigrant, immigrant. So as a student, if you're already in the system, then you have to be very careful if traveling home. Do you already have a visa? Will you be able to come back? Have you spoken to your designated school official that is going to affect you or not? So if you're already a student, it's not really a problem. However, at the moment, for people who have already secured maybe their I-20 preparing for student visa interviews, as I speak to you now, a lot of people have already secured their visa. A lot of people have already secured interview dates. And before this news, it was a little bit challenging, to secure appointment slots at the U.S. Embassy in Ghana. However, this is something that has been going on for years. So if you're a student preparing to come, you don't need to panic. Monitor the updates portal.
Fred.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I think the point has.
Now the comment comment section. I'm much pray I can kind Eddie Amo. Aha, Ghanatube for story as usual. I was here for background.